Am I the asshole? Don't want to go on a holiday with my partner's family.
Ask Jenny, she knows. Yeah, ask Jenny, she knows.
This is Jenny Knows, a licensed therapist, and you're listening to the Ask Jenny She Knows podcast. Today we're breaking down a few Am I the Asshole posts. So grab some tea, coffee, whatever it is that you drink, and let's get started. Am I the asshole for asking my friend to mind my nephew while I was away rather than my girlfriend? Maybe. Hi, I'm not 100% on whether what I did was okay, so I thought I'd ask here. Yesterday, my sister and her husband were away at a funeral for his friend's dad. My sister had left my 7-year-old nephew with me at my apartment. She's done that before too, and I managed to make it fun for him. I had totally forgotten that one of my friends was flying out last night and I had his power bank. I could have probably taken the heat of not returning it on time, but I asked my sister if I can have my friend come over and mind my nephew rather than taking him with me to the airport. My sister has met her and was cool with it, so I asked my friend and she agreed. She lives close by and was at my place in under 15 minutes. Later, when I told my girlfriend about it, she was upset at why I didn't just ask her. I said my friend lives closer, but she said she would have been there in under 20 minutes per Google Maps. She asked if I had asked my sister about her as an option. I honestly said I hadn't, and she believes my sister would have been okay, which is true. They've met and my sister likes her. It's just my friend has a younger brother whom she took care of like this when she was young too, per her brother himself. My girlfriend is the youngest sibling in her family. I don't know if she's ever taken care of someone like this. I tried to explain that to her, but that didn't help. She felt I was calling her incapable, which isn't true. So do you think that she was capable? As I'm reading this post, original poster mentions that they didn't ask their girlfriend because their girlfriend was too far. But once the girlfriend pressured more, they said they didn't ask because they didn't have the experience. Let's keep reading. Today she brought up again how hurt she was about that, but we kind of are okay now. But I wanted to ask, am I the asshole? I don't know if I would say that original poster is the asshole in the scenario, but I will say is that you seem like you're not being honest with her. Original poster is saying at first that it's because she lived too far, but now it's because she didn't have any experience. What is the real true story here? Why is original poster so hesitant to have his girlfriend watch his nephew? Original poster is clearly uncomfortable with this whole scenario. I can understand that original poster might say, okay, I don't want her watching my nephew while I'm not there because she doesn't have any experience. And that makes sense. If you don't have any history with babysitting children, let me tell you, it is not a walk in the park. Different children have different temperaments. You might not realize things that are choking hazards. You might think, oh, they're just playing with the grapes. They're just eating them over there. They're just playing with the toys. I'm going to be on my phone. You might not realize it. Like, oh, you have to really watch the child. So I can understand why original poster would be hesitant because of her lack of experience. Girlfriend feel a little raw, a little like, oh, you don't trust me, whatever. But it's good to have that open and honest communication with them. But original poster might have been trying to spare their girlfriend's feelings by saying, oh, you live too far. But then the girlfriend's like, oh, no, I don't live far. I could have been here in under 20 minutes. So she had that rebuttal and he was like, okay, fine. The reason why I didn't want you to is because you don't have any experience. But that's not easy to do because people are like, I don't want to be mean. But I don't think it's really about meanness when you're having communication, especially direct communication. It can sting sometimes. But since we have to deliver it, why not deliver it in a kind manner? Like, hey, I'm having my friend watch my nephew for a little bit. She has experience with kids, whatever the case is. Because I can see how the girlfriend would want to be there for her partner. Like, hey, why didn't you ask me? I want to be the one that you call. So it makes sense that she would be hurt by this. I don't know if that necessarily makes original poster the a-hole. I believe that might make him the person who lacks some communication skills. I think original poster is also someone that may not understand how it might be hurtful to reach out to a friend. What about me? Like, I could have been there for you is what girlfriend is really trying to say here. So not the asshole, but could stand to learn a better way to communicate and to communicate even when it's hard. Let's take a look at the comments. Overall Initiative 406 says, not the asshole for asking your friend, but gentle, you are the asshole for how you're responding. This feels like a pretty normal conversation in a relationship. She wants to be your person, i.e. the person you turn to when you need help, especially with family matters. Exactly what I was saying earlier. She wants to be the one you reach out to. It makes sense that she felt insecure or hurt when you asked a female friend instead of her, so she expressed those feelings to you. Rather than listing all the reasons you didn't think to ask her or didn't realize you could rely on her, acknowledge how she feels. Let her know that now that you understand, you'll make an effort to turn to her and make her your person moving forward. Great comment, because it's true. We want to know that the people who we are in an intimate relationship with will lean on us when they need us. And it can be hurtful to see them reach out to someone else, even if that person may have had more experience. So this is where the communication will come in, like, hey, this is how my nephew is. This is what they like. And it might take a little bit more work, but going forward, this could be something that you do. So that way, if you are in a pinch, you can call on your girlfriend to support. Nonchalant said, not the asshole for asking your friend, but you are the asshole for changing your reason from being a time crunch / distance factor to your girlfriend being the youngest sibling. Just because the girlfriend is the youngest of her siblings doesn't mean she is incapable of watching kids. Even the youngest sibling and only children can babysit and be good with kids, just as the older siblings can be bad at childcare. Yes, changing the reason a couple times can definitely seem shady, but can also be because this person is trying to not hurt their partner's feelings. That could be a reason why they did that. It's not the nicest. No Inside 1929 said, I wanted to say not the asshole, but I'm going with you are the asshole because it does sound like you low-key think she's incapable for somewhat random reason. I don't think it's a random reason, because he does eventually state that the reason why he's nervous or he didn't want her to watch his nephew is because she had no experience. Just because she's the youngest and hasn't taken care of a kid before doesn't mean she would majorly mess it up. So while she may not majorly mess it up, when it comes to watching children, you have to be really vigilant. You have to really be watching exactly what they're doing, because the saying goes, when it's quiet and you haven't heard your child, you better go looking for them. When they're making noise, things are okay. And that's something that people may not know. I didn't know certain nuts could really be a choking hazard for kids until I saw a horrible video of a child who had passed away from choking on a little almond or something like that. I didn't know how quickly that could happen. I didn't know about button batteries. I didn't know how button batteries are in a lot of things that we use every day, and even children's things. So there's a lot that we should be aware of before we babysit. We should like to know what the kids like. So I can see why original poster would be hesitant, but it's good to communicate that and say, hey, going forward, if you ever want to watch my nephew, here are a list of things that he likes. Here's that, things to watch out for, all that stuff, all that jazz. Because how quickly kids get into things needs to be studied. They're so fast and so strong. All right, let's move on to the next one. Am I the asshole for refusing to change the chore chart even though my wife works full-time now? I met my wife in college and she was soon pregnant after we graduated. We moved in together and it was decided that she will not look for a job until after she gave birth. Our daughter was born and my wife was a stay-at-home mom for the first 2 years. We had a lot of fight about the chore splitting. I was very overwhelmed coming home and having to do a ton of chores after work and also spend time with our daughter. This has gotten worse as our daughter has gotten older and is a little tornado. Oh yeah, those toddlers, they will get into everything. The biggest issue was she wouldn't pick up at all, especially in the kitchen. That meant I would come home, clean the kitchen, cook, and then clean the kitchen again. Then have to go around and clean up the day's activities. Yeah, parenting is hard. Having to do the dishes to me are the worst, because you're like, hold on, I just did the dishes. How did they get dirty again? It's because you're probably cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you're saving money from going out and ordering food, but then your time is being spent where you're constantly having to wash dishes. So even if you don't have kids, the dishes come out of nowhere and they pile up. So that's why it's like whenever you're cooking, you need to be washing the dishes as you cook or loading up the dishwasher. We argued about this a lot, and her stance was she watches our kid all day long so I can clean up more when I get home. In the end, I gave in and we made an official chore chart. Her watch kid do laundry, grocery shopping, appointments. Me, dinner, everyday cleaning, wiping down the counter, picking up toys, sweeping, trash, meal prep, and nighttime routine bath, etc. In the summer, my company informed me that I would be let go around Thanksgiving. We talked it over and my wife found a job and would be the main breadwinner for the time being. I was to watch our daughter, and I am in an online master's program. At the moment, I am watching our daughter and doing my master's program. I personally have not been having issues, but my wife is. She hates having to come home and do chores and clean up after us. I usually leave it cleaner than what she has left me. I put dishes in the dishwasher throughout the day. That's a good habit to have. We have been arguing about this constantly. She thinks it is unfair she has to do chores after working all day, and me pointing out this is literally what I have done for the past 2 years and kept pointing at the chore chart. She says she is the breadwinner now and I shouldn't have to do this. And I pointed out I was the breadwinner before to begin with and did this all. That I am watching our daughter and doing a program. She claims I am being unfair since I refuse to change the chore chart because it is literally what I have done for 2 years. My friends have opinions on this, so I need an outsider's opinion. Okay, so that was a long one, and I can see how you might think, oh my God, this is so unfair to me. I'm in school watching our daughter, and I'm doing all the chores that I'm guessing the wife used to do now. He's the one that's doing them, and she's getting the chores that he did when he was working. The one thing I can think of is his wife was postpartum when she had all those chores, when she had all those things to keep up with. And I don't know if his spouse had a vaginal birth or she had a cesarean delivery. Either one that she has, recovering is really hard on the body. So having to take care of a newborn, feed on demand if she's breastfeeding or making the bottles and all those things can be very difficult to upkeep. And what if the baby doesn't want to be put down, crying all the time? That is very different from what is probably now a toddler that you're working with. And yes, the toddler could be, as you said, a little tornado running around and, having fun learning and doing all things that are developmentally appropriate. It's hard, and I understand that you're also in school, so it's definitely hard, but she probably physically could not do all of those things. Now, when it comes to her now having gone back to work, adjusting to being back to work, away from baby, and coming home, it can be a lot. So I'm wondering if you all would be able to come together and make a new plan. Maybe your daughter goes to school, daycare for half the day or whatever the case may be, so that way you can focus on your work. And then, maybe your wife could pick her up on the way home or whatever the case may be. It might be time to change up the schedule. If you don't have that experience like I have with working with people postpartum, you might look at the story and think, oh, no, it's unfair. The wife definitely needs to pick up the slack and she needs to get to work. There might be more to the story. There might be more happening here. You may have to look at the chores and revamp everything. You may have to get a nanny to come and help you, because I can't imagine how you're in graduate school while also taking care of a child. That is a lot of work. So you may have to find a nanny to come and support you, or daycare like I mentioned before. But either way, it's hard. It sounds like it's a lot on both of you. So it's good to come together and talk about it to see how you can make your life easier. Having designated days where you order out, having some days on the weekend where you meal prep and wife and daughter could be out doing something, whatever it can be. Let's come together and make a plan. I don't think anyone is an asshole in this situation. I think you all have a new baby and you just lost your job. Now she's going back into the workplace. It's a lot of changes. So yes, when she had just given birth, she was possibly physically incapable of doing any of this. So she did need more of the support. So let's come back to the table like we were before, lay it all out and talk about it. Because unless you've been pregnant, you may not know all the things a pregnant body goes through in recovery. Let's see what the comments are saying. Dog Mom 2012 said, it's obviously time to rethink the chore chart and have an actual and honest conversation about responsibilities around your home. Yes, you are now the stay-at-home parent, but caring for a toddler is different than caring for an infant when also postpartum. So what you had time for during the day will also be different. You are supposed to be a team, so come up with the best plan for all of you. This just feels like you resent what you needed to do to take care of your family when the baby was born, and not about being fair or doing the same thing. How many hours does she work now? How many did you work? Can you send your child to preschool soon? Could you consider getting some help with housekeeping? There are solutions to what needs to get done, so find those and not worry about what everyone was doing before. I definitely see where this comment is coming from. When life changes happen, we have to sit down together as a family and rethink what the schedule was like before and what it needs to look like now. Big changes happen and they affect the family. And it's good to recalibrate, come back together, see what else can be done differently. How can you move forward? Because let me tell you, getting a housekeeper to come and clean your home, that is such a stress reliever because dust piles up so quick you don't even realize it. Your laundry piles up quick, you don't even realize it. Like those things happen so quickly. Mine is the dishes, they get dirty so quickly. So sit down and get together and find some solutions. Let's read another comment. Wes Morgan once says, two grown adults can't deal with household chores without lengthy negotiations and a written agreement. This seems a little snarky, this comment, but the thing is, yes, some people do need to sit down and write it out. It is good to sit down because sometimes you may not realize all the chores you're doing. You may not realize it. Planning for the toys that the kids are going to play with that are appropriate developmentally and that are going to be a help and not a hindrance. Having activities for the child to do. All those things take a lot of brain work. So it is important to lay down all the chores to make sure that it's fair for everyone. You're both fighting to make the smallest contribution to running the household. You have bigger problems than who does the vacuuming. ESH, which I think means everyone sucks here. Communication is good. Making a chore chart is a good idea. A lot of people don't realize how hard it could be to recuperate when you've had a baby. It's very hard mentally, physically, emotionally. So yes, especially if mom is deciding to breastfeed and pump, that's a load of work in itself. Sterilizing bottles, making sure the pump equipment is charged. It's a lot. So it does take a toll on the body. So it's good to be careful. So it's good to be patient and communicate with each other. Original poster, you and your spouse need to sit down and make a new plan. To Dragon 123456 says, not the asshole. The chore chart was created for a reason, and that reason was your wife's inability to contribute fairly to the household. This comment is interesting because, like I was saying before, she was recovering postpartum. Let's remember that. She can't suddenly decide it's unfair now that the roles are reversed. The roles aren't exactly 100% reversed because while Original Poster is most likely busy with school, he also didn't just give birth. If she wants to renegotiate, she needs to acknowledge how one-sided it was for the past 2 years. Adjusting to parenting can be challenging either way, so I think it's best to leave all the snark out of it and get together and make a new plan. All right, let's move on to the next one. Am I the asshole for getting pissed off at my boyfriend having people around to smoke at off hours? No, you're not the asshole. Just kidding. Let's keep reading, but I generally hate the smell of smoke, so I couldn't even imagine being around that all the time. I would hate that. I've told him before I don't want his friends, who to me are random men, showing up at the house to smoke with him for 30 odd minutes. They come at random times in the evening, on a weekday or weekend. Oh yeah, I can definitely see how that would be frustrating. I can't relax in my own home at night. I can't decompress. I can't unwind. I can't live there. I can't. My boyfriend is a night owl, so he doesn't think anything of the hour, but I find it inappropriate. It can be as late as 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. I also just don't want to be exposed to men at a certain hour when I'm wanting to chill and unwind. I can definitely understand that. My home is my abode. It's my safe space, and I don't want any random people being there smoking. Like, I want to be able to walk out in my pajamas, grab a snack, and not have people looking at me smoking. No, I don't like that. I've tried to compromise by saying they can't be in the room that I'm in at the time, but it means I have to be stationary, and I don't feel comfortable going to the kitchen if they're there. It's really annoying. These aren't necessarily his close friends, they're just smoke buds. Obviously, when his close friends come around, I'm normal with them and will sit in the living room and entertain. I've told him again and again I'm not comfortable, and he still does it. Honestly, reading that last line, I didn't like it. Original Poster has told their boyfriend over and over and again, and they still haven't made the chance. Is this person even considering if Original Poster is comfortable in their own home? Because I would hate that. I don't like that. I think when it comes to your spouse or partner communicating that they don't like something, you should be able to listen, especially if it's your home, because a compromise can be reached. Original poster didn't mention that they didn't like the smell of smoke, because personally I don't like the smell of smoke at all, so I wouldn't want that. And it sounds like she would be willing to reach an agreement, like, oh, stay in one place. I would think stay outside, because the smell of the smoke is not something that I want to smell all the time. But like I said before, it doesn't sound like original poster has a problem with the smell, more of them being in the home. Make an agreement. Hey, y'all can smoke together, but smoke outside, or smoke in the home when I'm not there, whatever the case is, and then go on from there. They can definitely make a compromise, but I'm not hearing that they're off to a good start based on original posters saying that they've tried to ask about this and they're ignored. Let's see what the comments are saying. Subbar Savant said, info, are you sure he isn't selling weed out of the house? What? You gotta go. Because I smoke with friends, but none come over for a single joint at all hours. That's the kind of thing that ends up happening with the guy I get my weed off of. I call over to get it and end up staying for a little bit just so his neighbors don't see people arriving and leaving immediately all the time. This is something that I did not consider. I did not think about this. I didn't. So are these people doing that? Is the significant other putting the original poster in an unsafe environment? Because what if law enforcement is watching the home that these people are coming only in the evening, hanging out for 30 minutes, and it's that same pattern over and over again? Is he placing her in harm's way? It sounds like a possibility based on this comment. Puzzlehead Rose 6211 says, not the asshole, but it sounds like you have lifestyle differences and might need to rethink living together. You're both entitled to your space. That's a great point to bring up. But original poster didn't mention that they had any issues with the smell of the smoke or the smoking in the home. It sounds like it was more so the time the smoking was happening. I'd love to know if original poster smokes at all, because they didn't complain about the smell. Something I would have complained about. Queasy Gur 8068 says, the comments you're getting here are a little insane to me. Of course it's annoying and disruptive to have people over at 1 a.m. I agree. Original poster isn't saying he can't have friends or can't have people over, but most days of the week that late at night, it's worse that it's men, because she'll be less comfortable in her PJs, less able to relax. Maybe she's not using the right words in her comments, but dang. Yes, I completely agree. I can't imagine living in that situation. And original posters shouldn't have to. Maybe they don't live together for now. Maybe they end the relationship if she can't take that anymore. How long can you go without feeling safe in your home? You have to decide that. All right, let's move on to the next one. Would I be the asshole if I used the plane tickets my ex bought to go on a solo trip? There's an update here, but I'm going to read that one last. So let's read the story first. I, 29-year-old female, was dating my ex, 36-year-old male. Long distance for 4 months. We broke up a few days ago, but I still have my plane tickets for our next trip, Thailand, in my name that are non-exchangeable or refundable. The problem is that my ex paid for these tickets before we broke up, and I've had conflicting opinions from those close to me if I would be an asshole for using them. Some say I should go for it and that the money would be wasted either way, so I might as well use them. That's what I'm thinking so far. Others say it's in poor taste and taking advantage of the situation to go somewhere on his dollar, especially since not going wouldn't cost me anything. I'm wondering if original poster spoke to their ex, if they're cool with it, or if they want to make an arrangement about it. I'm in two minds myself, as I've already gotten the time off to prove to go and would love to go on a solo trip. Kind of nervous but excited for the experiences, as I've never done that before and probably would have never planned to do this before this happened. But I also do feel bad for my ex funding my plane ticket to go on a trip we were meant to, even though money is lost regardless. For the record, when we broke up, he did message me saying maybe find someone else to go to Thailand and get a cheaper hotel you could afford. You still have the tickets. But this was said in a snarky way, not genuinely. But I'm wondering what makes original poster think it was said in a snarky way, because when I read it, I didn't think it was said in a snarky way, but I'm also not privy to the conversation they were having before, so it could very well be snarky. But the way I'm reading it, it sounds like their ex is giving them permission to go ahead and enjoy the trip. I would say seek clarification. Say, are you genuinely okay with me going on this? Would you like me to pay you if that's what you want to do? Because to me, you already got permission. So if you need more clarification, if you want to make a payment plan, if you want to pay for half, go ahead and ask of that. But I would say enjoy the trip. They gave you the permission based on the text messages. It was a gift. Let's read the update. Update 1. I sent my ex a message this morning asking to organize a way to pay him back for the tickets. I don't have his bank details, so I can't just send it without speaking to him first. We'll update again once he responds. Also for info, as there are some frequent questions. 1. He broke up with me over text. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear that you got broken up with via text. That sounds terrible. So maybe your ex was being snarky and saying, sure, go ahead and use the tickets. 2. I have paid for my own travel insurance already for the date the tickets are for. 3. I only have my tickets. He still has in his name. I only say tickets as in return flights. We will not end up on the same plane together as we live on opposite sides of the world. Update 2. He replied to say the ticket was a gift and he doesn't take back gifts, and that I should invite my gaming mate to meet me there. So I guess I can go? Yes, go. Enjoy your trip. Forget people saying you can't go. This is now the second time your ex is confirming that it is okay for you to go. So go enjoy the trip. Do the thing that you never thought you would do in your life and enjoy. I'd love to travel to Thailand one day. It seems very beautiful. Let's see what the comments have to say. Spare Armadillo 279 says, simple, guilt-free answer. Send your ex the money to pay for the tickets and go. Nobody's getting anything out of it if the tickets aren't used. But if you've brought the tickets, then you can do whatever you want. But the update already said she got confirmation to go for free. So yeah. Rambling Man UK said, I wouldn't even consider not using them. The airline has the money and neither you or your ex will get it back. So not using them is just a waste. Rambling Man is like, I'm on the plane already. I'll send you a pic from Thailand. Snow Revelation 645 says, why did your ex pay for the trip? Can't you just pay him back for the ticket and go without guilt? An original poster does respond, so let's read it. He was in a much better place financially than I am, so he was happy to pay for the trip. I would need to pay him back over time or save up a little while to afford the lump sum, which I am considering doing in order to clear my conscience. I'm only consider going on the trip as Thailand is quite affordable and would be doing it on a budget, hostels, street food, no excessive shopping, etc. No need to feel guilty. Your ex already said yes, so go and enjoy the trip. All right, let's move on to the next one. Am I the asshole? Don't want to go on a holiday with my partner's family. Let's see. I'm 32, my partner and I don't have kids, and every single year my partner's family asks us to go on a big family holiday. Lately, I don't really want to go anymore, and it's becoming an issue. Oh, I wonder why she doesn't want to go. Let's keep reading. The last time I went on one of these trips, my mom was undergoing cancer treatment. Oh no. Oh. I went anyway, and a few months later, she passed away. I carry a huge amount of guilt about going on that holiday instead of spending time with her, especially now knowing how limited that time was. I can't imagine the guilt, even though it's not her fault and she didn't know, and there's no way she could have known. They don't really drink, don't want to go out for dinners, bars, or nightlife, and there's no option to spend a day or two just relaxing. It's mostly walking aimlessly around places in a group of 6 all day, every day. I love to travel, and that doesn't sound like the most fun, unless they're exploring museums and sightseeing and things like that, and general history tour that I think is important and necessary in every trip. Then we come back to the accommodation and food is cooked, but there's no saying what we eat as a group, etc. It just gets incredibly frustrating. I can understand how that would be frustrating because I'm on a trip and I can't try the local cuisine. I have to eat chicken breasts and broccoli. I also get very impatient with his childish brother and his behavior. He's 26, FYI. We get no say in accommodations, rooms, or location altogether because they pay, which is understandable, but having zero autonomy as an adult traveling abroad for a period of a week or so is just getting to a point where I don't want to go altogether anymore. Can someone advise if I am the asshole? And also any help in saying no? I feel like this might be a deal breaker in the relationship moving forward. I'm not going to lie. It does sound very frustrating to not have a say in what you all do on the vacation. Now I can understand how they would book the flight and the place to stay because they may have a budget they're working with. But when it comes to the food, accommodations, and wanting to do something different, it's frustrating because you're like, hold on, I want to do this. Why can't I do that? Why are they saying, no, you all are adults. You should definitely have a say in what you're doing on the trip, whether they pay for it or not. To me, if I invite someone on the trip with me, yes, we can have our plans together, but I'm not going to say, no, you can't go out to eat, or no, you can't go to the bar. How old are you guys? You said the younger brother's 26. So I'm assuming you guys are at least 28 and above. So you should definitely be able to do what you want to do. Now, also, I can understand how you're still grieving the loss of your mother and feeling guilt about going on this trip that you don't even like anyway. Like, I can imagine that you're saying, I didn't even like this trip. I don't even want to be there. And I went, and I can understand all those feelings that you're experiencing. So I wouldn't say that you're the asshole at all in this situation. It sounds like you care about your boyfriend and you want to make this work, but you're also understanding that this may not be able to work because that's their family tradition that you enjoyed, but it's not the best for you and your lifestyle. Original poster also wanted some help in saying no. The thing you're going to need to do is to have a sit down conversation with your partner. But before you get there, I want you to sit down and write down exactly what you'd like to say. Why don't you want to go on this trip? Why do you find it frustrating? I'm assuming your partner already knows that you may not want to go on the trip, or that you're frustrated by the trip because you've asked to go on other excursions while you're on the trip with them. So I'm assuming that your significant other understands that there might be a little tension there. So you write down exactly why you wouldn't want to go on the trip, why you're not comfortable, and then you can either practice this in the mirror as a way to practice the conversation to make sure you get everything out. The reason why original poster needs to write down everything is because sometimes when we're heated about something, we feel like we have to defend ourselves. We sometimes forget our argument. I'm not telling original poster to write everything down to argue. I'm saying original poster should write it down to better articulate what they want to say. So sit down, write it out, then have a conversation with them. Like, hey, this is how I feel. Make sure you're using I statements, and try not to blame anyone. Just use those I statements. Like, I don't feel comfortable going on the trip. I feel a lot of guilt going on the trip, especially as it relates to your mother's passing. I don't feel comfortable on the trip. I'd rather not go on the trip. Original poster is going to have to say those exact words. I don't want to go on the trip. I don't feel comfortable on the trip. That has to be said. And then see what your partner says, and they might say, yeah, sure, I understand, I won't go, and stay with you in solidarity. Or they might say, hey, why don't I go and you stay back home, whatever the case may be. And as long as you're comfortable with that arrangement that you all make, then you can proceed forward. But you definitely have to have a frank conversation, and you need to definitely be direct. And understand that your partner might feel a little tender about that. They might feel a little raw, a little exposed, but it's your truth. You don't want to be somewhere overseas uncomfortable and annoyed, because guess what, it might come out in other ways where you might have a shorter fuse, and you don't want that either. Let's see what the comments have to say. Waste Locksmith 4299 says, not the asshole. If you don't want to go, don't go. However, it sounds like this could cause a problem for you and your partner, so you might consider how you could go, but have a better time. Like, why do you have to spend all that time together? Well, original poster did mention that the family is pretty strict about that. Is it possible for you and your partner to just say, we're going to do this today, see you later? And a free holiday is a free holiday after all. I don't know. I love to travel, but to me, if someone is trying to restrict what I do, where I go, where I have to say what I can do, that's not a free vacation that I want to be on at all. Talk to your partner and get them to understand how you feel before simply saying you aren't going. Original poster did respond to this, and this is what they had to say. See, tried this last holiday and it was made a massive deal that we wanted to go out for an evening on our own, and snarky comments were made. Can't deal with that. It also feels like you have to oblige to everything just because someone has paid. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yes, you might not pay with cash, but you might be paying with your patience, annoyance, and trying to avoid all that. You'll be paying in other ways for sure. It kind of feels very controlling. It's not as easy as saying, see you later, I'm afraid. So I think a conversation will have to be had. They treat their sons like kids, and it honestly icks me out. Ooh, yeah. That is definitely a different lifestyle. And the thing is, your significant other may not even realize it because they're in it and they've been in it their whole life. They might not see it. So you have to talk to them and be direct. Anxious Routine 5526 says, not the asshole. If you don't want to go, don't go. It sounds more like a hostage situation than a vacation. If you do go, stop letting them pay so you have autonomy. Pay for your own accommodations. Make plans to spend half a day or a day doing what you want, including enjoying the nightlife or just relaxing. If you're paying your way, you get to decide how you spend your time. That is true. But it also sounds like original poster tried this and it's like, is it even worth it? All right, let's read this last comment, and it's a long one. But original poster did answer, so I wanted to read it. Night Owl 173 said, is there any reason why you and your boyfriend don't speak up for yourselves when it comes to planning the trip, daily activities, or meals? If it were me, I would tell my boyfriend to speak up with his family about the vacation. If the proposed accommodations don't work for you guys, it's up to him to tell his parents and book an Airbnb or hotel nearby, which would give you both a nightly break from the family. So this is a good idea. This sounds like a compromise that the boyfriend original poster could come up with if they have that direct conversation. If the day's itinerary doesn't interest you, it's up to him to speak up and say, you guys have fun. Girlfriend and I are going to the zoo, museum, beach, etc. today. If the meals aren't well planned, let them know, hey, we're going to book a dinner reservation at this restaurant tonight. No need to buy or cook a meal for the two of us. My family vacations together a lot. My parents, their spouses, my brother, my sister and her family, and myself. We do some things as a group like cooking breakfast for everyone or going to a baseball game together. But we also break off in groups and do our own thing. I've gone on several group trips, vacations. You don't have to be stuck together at the hip. But it sounds like the original poster's in-laws are trying to recreate their childhood memories plus their spouse by controlling everything. Because when you think about a family vacation, most of the time the parents are choosing. No one gets offended, and everyone gets that our interests are different. I can spend hours wandering around a museum, whereas my mom will be antsy to go in 30 minutes. So I go to the museum by myself or only with people who want to make a day of it. My sister and her family like sushi, whereas I don't. So if they book a reservation at a sushi place, they know to leave me out of it. A good compromise could be going to an all-inclusive resort or going on a cruise together. You're all together, but you can do activities and meals in smaller groups or solo. I love this comment because it's all about that compromise. No one is going to agree on everything 100%, but things have changed. A major life event happened to original poster. So while before they might have been annoyed, but they went along with it, but they're like, well, my mother has now passed. I missed it. So they might have also a little resentment to that trip, but also not letting someone do what they want to do as an adult on the trip is very much so inappropriate. So let's read original poster's response. See, your situation is exactly how my family did/would have done vacations. Unfortunately, as my mom's not around anymore, it's not a thing. And I guess maybe some of that plays a part in this and feeling a bit unbalanced. I've approached conversations with him about the points you've made, and I honestly feel as though I'm being really unreasonable, and I do fear eventually this might grate on me so much it will become a deal breaker. They're also not into all-inclusive, etc., and like to budget and scramp despite being extremely wealthy. It honestly sounds like original poster's response is them coming to terms that their relationship might be ending. When you're going on a trip with a group, it's important that you're kind. It's important that you include everyone's opinion. You can't just say, this is what we're doing and that's it, everybody doing it. No. Yes, you can have the days where you decide, okay, Monday and Wednesday we're going to have dinner together, but the other days, why don't you guys go ahead and you do your own thing? Because guess what? That can alleviate the responsibility that the hosts have, not having to worry about cooking for everyone. And they can also go out to eat themselves. Saying, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that is very controlling and inappropriate. The original poster definitely needs to sit down with this, make a pro and con list, and decide if this is worth it, if this is beneficial, maybe sit this one out. All right, let's move on to the next one. Am I the asshole for wanting my ex's cousins out of our apartment? No, I'm just kidding. For context, my boyfriend and I are equal leaseholders on our 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. We previously had a girl subleasing the second bedroom while my ex and I shared the other. The arrangement worked out great because she was quiet, respectful, clean, and very kind. It is so hard to find a good roommate, and what I mean by good roommate is someone that you get along with well, that you mesh together well. That is kind of hard to find. Unfortunately, she decided to move out, which left us with an extra room. I became exhausted from searching for our new subtenants and interviewing people trying to find someone compatible with my lifestyle. My ex then suggested that he take the extra room and turn it into his office/man cave so we wouldn't have to worry about conflicts over cleanliness or touching each other's belongings. I agreed since I like to keep my personal space very clean and minimal. So original poster keeps saying ex. Is this person an ex currently now after this situation or during the situation? I'm going to say that they're now an ex and they weren't an ex when the situation was happening. Things changed when his cousin wanted to visit and asked if I'd be okay with that. I was hesitant because I personally don't like them and didn't know how respectful or clean they would be in my home. Original poster wants to be nice and let this cousin stay even though they don't get along. It sounds like it's gonna be bad. However, I agree because they are his family, and although I don't care for them, they've never been rude to me. He told me they would probably stay for about a month. I already felt that was too long, but I assumed they might leave earlier once they got bored or wanted to return home to their kids. The weekend arrived, my ex and I got into a huge argument. I decided to leave for a couple days and crash at another friend's place just to have some peace, especially since he told me he wanted me out of the apartment before the lease was even up. Friends advised me that he legally couldn't do that, and I also contacted the leasing agent to confirm that we are equal leaseholders. I asked about a roommate release or an early termination on my end, but neither option is allowed under my lease. So Original has a lease with someone who is probably in the process of becoming their ex, and ex in progress has invited someone else to stay over, and they're not getting along. And Original poster doesn't have good vibes from the cousin that's coming. Oh my God, that sounds like a hard place to be in. I can't imagine. When I returned, I walked in to find his cousin sitting on the couch. I immediately felt awkward in my own home, which is strange considering they aren't paying rent and my name is on the lease. Yikes. The kitchen and living room were a total mess, and the washer and dryer were filled with clothes that no one bothered to remove. The washer and the dryer being full with clothes? That means that the clothes in the washer probably smell like mildew. Their shoes were scattered all over the floor, and the room they're staying in is a complete mess. On top of that, loud music was being played, and I had to file a noise complaint since they would not listen to me. Can you imagine living with people that you have to file a noise complaint on? I would feel totally overstimulated walking into a room where it smells like mildew and it's a mess and there's loud music. It's like, okay, shut the music down. Let's see what's going on. It's like when you're driving and you're lost, so you turn down the music so you could totally focus. I would need to do that. But I'm wondering, wouldn't this be grounds to be able to get released from a lease if someone comes in and they've made a mess but they don't live there? But I guess Original poster did agree to them coming in. I've tried to have as little interaction with them as possible, but I don't think it's fair that I'm being made to feel like a stranger in my own home. I have yet to speak to my ex about it, but I think there needs to be some rules set for them if they are going to live in my apartment. Plus, I made sure to clean the extra room before their arrival, thinking they were going to be respectful and not cause problems. So am I the asshole for not wanting them in the apartment and to kick them out? No, you're not. This person has moved to Original poster's home, turned it into a mess, and with consent from her ex in progress. That sounds very frustrating. And having to make a noise complaint, which I'm guessing she made to the police, meaning that the police had to come to talk to them about it so they know they're being loud. And I'm wondering if the police said, hey, your roommate made this complaint, which I hope they didn't, because that could turn the situation very hostile. I can't imagine you're telling someone to lower the music in your own home and they're not listening to you. That's frustrating. So I don't think Original poster is the asshole for wanting these people out. It sounds like Original poster has communicated with them and they're not listening. So what is the next step? Original poster did say, I have yet to speak to my ex about it, but I think there needs to be some rules set for them if they're going to leave in my apartment. And yes, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and draw up those rules that you want and go talk to your ex about it and come up with rules together as well. Because when you come up with rules together, then they're more likely to be followed. So go talk with your ex, come up with the rules, and have your ex in progress go talk about it with their guest. Because you and your ex in progress are already having issues, you don't want to be the one to go and talk to their guest. They need to do it. But you first need to talk to your ex in progress if you feel safe. If you don't feel safe about this whole scenario, then you may have to rethink your next plans. You don't want to be in a situation where it's two people versus you, because you're already in that situation. Two people are not happy with you, your ex in progress and your guest, because if you've asked them to lower the music, it doesn't sound like they care about your input, to be frank. Your ex in progress also wants you out. So honestly, if it were me, I would go and stay with a friend for a couple days. I would just move out completely because you are in a situation where you are the underdog. You are the lone person. So get yourself in a safe situation. If you want to talk about it, sure, talk about it. I wouldn't even waste my breath. Yes, it might cost you, but you need to go because your efforts are already there. You've spoken to them. You've tried to make amends. Your efforts are there and they're documented. Document all of your efforts and get out of there right now for your safety. That's what I would tell original poster. Let's see what the comments have to say. Okay, Stable 7501 says, not the asshole, but he's using them to force you out, making it so unpleasant you want to leave. And Lithograph responded, time for OP to invite some friends to stay too. No. Original poster should not do that. If you already had to leave the apartment because you felt unsafe because of an argument you had with your ex in progress, then bringing more people into it could turn into a situation that you don't even want to be a part of. Expensive Excuse 597 said, not the asshole. You did agree to let them stay, so they will be occupying the common area. Make sure to continually mention that the stay is limited to a month at the most. As far as the clothes in the washer and dryer go, let them know that you will be removing any clothes that is left in the either machine whenever you want to do your laundry. Pile the wet clothes from the washer and the dry clothes from the dryer on their bed. You do not have to be inconvenienced by these people, nor do you have to be considerate of their disrespect. Yes, stand up for yourself, but I don't think original poster is safe. I don't think they care about what original poster has to say. Original poster already mentioned the ex-boyfriend wants them out. Not a safe situation. Don't even try to retaliate. Just get out. Street Length 9871 says, you haven't spoken to your ex about it. I mean, try that first. It is a good way to get you out if that's what the ex wants. Exactly how do you plan on kicking them out if they are invited by a leaseholder? Just live out the lease the best you can and move out. Not the asshole, but not in a good position. I agree with this comment. Original poster does respond and said, yes, I do plan on talking with him first, but I did send an email out to the leasing agency to make sure that there is a provision that states how many days when they are able to stay within the apartment. I do have a copy of my lease, but I cannot find anything that says they can stay indefinitely or anywhere where it states a maximum number of days. The thing I will say about the guest is, in some laws, there are what's called, I believe, a squatter's rights. And if I said it wrong or I'm saying it wrong, please let me know in the comments. Where I believe in some states, if someone is staying at a residence for 2 weeks and they are getting mail there, you have to evict them if they don't want to leave. So you might want to look into all those things and determine, is it even worth it to stay and fight? Is it even worth it, that headache? To be in a situation where people are playing loud music all the time and dirty clothes are everywhere and it smells like mildew? I don't think it's worth it. All right, let's move on to the last one. Am I the asshole for telling my fiance he doesn't need to ask for my parents' permission? I, 30s female, just recently got engaged to my fiance, 30s male. I am so happy I get to marry my best friend, but I also feel slightly cheated out of the whole engagement thrill now. Aww. Parents' backstory. My mom is a narcissist. She's the primary source of all my anxiety and hates the fact that I am in therapy and setting boundaries. My dad is old school, but he and I are usually decently close. He is technically my stepdad, but he raised me. This year, however, he was horrible due to a major surgery and he's gotten better, but it was bad. My then boyfriend, now fiance, and I talked a lot about getting engaged and I knew it was coming. I always felt that asking a parent's permission was icky and outdated, but he wanted to do it, so I told him to go for it. Fast forward a couple weeks, he was deep in figuring out something extremely scary and personal. My parents were on the phone with me and kept asking about the situation. I was trying to be vague because it was none of their business, which escalated into a fight. My mom suddenly made a disgusting comment about my fiance. I snapped and hung up. I didn't speak to her for a month after that. I told my fiance that because of that comment and how my father has been treating us this year, I don't want him asking permission anymore. We compromised and he showed my dad the ring and told him when it was happening. Nothing was said then. He finally proposed and I was so ecstatic. The only downside was I had anxiety over telling my parents. But it sounds like the fiance did show the ring, so I'm assuming that meant he was going to propose. My fiance convinced me to tell them ASAP, and they were super lukewarm about it at the time and afterwards. It hurt a lot, but I try to brush it off. I will admit I am jealous of a lot of freshly engaged people around me. Wow. It escalated a week ago when I went with my parents to an event. My fiance stayed home. We got drinks beforehand, and my mom started sobbing and saying how disrespectful we are for not asking. She kept saying how she wishes she could bless us, but we didn't do what we were supposed to do. I'm assuming she means asking for permission. She also said she would love to help pay for the wedding, but won't because of it. I was never going to ask for help. I felt ambushed and awkward and ended up crying at the venue and going home early. I also had a few days earlier asked her to go dress shopping with me the day after the event, but I ended up canceling it because I could not stop crying for days afterwards. That is terrible. Can you imagine on your special day, your parent is upset because of something you didn't even want to happen anyway? The fiance did share the ring with the parents, so I don't understand why they felt the need to be asked. I know it's tradition for a lot of people, but tradition changes over the years, and some people may not even agree with it, and it doesn't sound like original poster even cares or agrees with it. The next day, I had a heated phone call with my dad. He said he was disappointed and thinks less of my fiance as a man. I said I was going no contact with my mom and low contact with him. He said you don't write off family, and at the time I was pretty steadfast, but now I'm wavering. I feel like this whole mess could have been avoided if I had just swallowed my pride. But at the same time, I'm trying really hard to have boundaries. Please tell me, was I the asshole for telling my fiance not to ask my dad or parents for permission? No, because original poster's fiance did share the ring with her parents. And her not wanting the parents to be asked sounds like she didn't want that anyway to begin with, but she was going along with it to appease her parents. But something bad happened, so she's like, oh, never mind, I'm not even getting you all asked, but you all can know about it, and you did. So it sounds like the parents are frustrated at the changes that are happening because original poster has mentioned that she is setting boundaries that they're not happy with. So I'm wondering if the parents are feeling like they're losing control in this situation, like they're losing control of their daughter. In that same breath of them losing control, the fiance not outright asking for the hand in marriage is also like they've lost complete control. That was the nail in the coffin. But even if you feel this way, original poster didn't too much care for that custom anyway. When people make decisions about their lives, how they want to live, parents need to sit down, listen, and understand. And hey, if you want to be a part of their lives, sure, it might sting like, oh, I'd like to know, oh, I have a daughter, I want to know her wedding or whatever. Sure, but say, oh, I am sad that you didn't ask me. But I'm happy for you. I'm going to pay for your wedding because it sounds like, oh, you didn't ask me, so now I'm not paying for your wedding. An original poster clearly states they weren't going to ask anyway. So it's just incredibly frustrating. And I can understand how going no contact is tough. And that's why I've done a video about this before where I talk about going no contact is hard. So you can start off by having a conversation with the person you're thinking about going no contact with. And if that's not working, then you lessen the time that you spend with them. And you find that's still not working, then you can go no contact. So there are levels to it. But you cannot ruin their special day. At the end of the day, this is their engagement and they were excited for it. So sure, be sad. Talk to someone about it, but don't ruin their special day. All right, let's see what the comments have to say. Tay Kotar says, you are not the asshole, but you need to up your therapy appointments. You are letting them treat you so horribly. Original poster did respond and say, I am. Unfortunately, my therapist is on a much needed vacation. She deserves it, but timing is horrible. LAMAO. I don't think I've ever read that out loud like that. But I'm glad original poster has a therapist to talk about this with. Antizana said, not the asshole, but you will be the asshole to yourself if you keep on your current path of letting your parents emotionally abuse you and your fiance. They're not going to magically become the parents you deserve, and there's no great cure for narcissism. What they want is attention and control. Stop giving them that. Don't pick a fight by saying you're going low or no contact. Just be non-committal and busy, and gray rock them when they want details. I agree. You don't always have to tell people that you're going no contact with them. because it's going to turn into something that you may not even want to talk about or discuss. You don't owe them that conversation. Disengaging is probably your only hope for keeping some sanity. Also, ETA. You can think the custom is outdated and icky. It is. This problem started with you setting aside your own comfort to involve your parents in a tradition rooted in them treating you like property. There's plenty of irony there. I was saying exactly that. You didn't want that tradition anyway. You're going along to get along, and it didn't turn out well. It's a hard but good lesson to stand firm on your boundaries that are important to you. Conflict Gullible 392 says, not the asshole. The fact they reacted this way demonstrate they didn't deserve to be asked. I reached a lady response and said, if you asked and was told no, then you would still be upset now. I think go no contact with mom forever. One thing I would never do as a therapist is tell someone to go no contact with a parent forever. That's a decision an original poster has to make on their own. She's never going to be happy or supportive of you. Have the wedding that you want without mom and have someone else walk you down the aisle if you want that tradition. Stepdad would be pretty close to no contact for me. My only hope is that original poster has a great and good, supportive, strong community around them because they're going to need it. If you've made it this far into the podcast or video, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. I'm planning to open up some sort of survey so that you all can submit any questions or any stories you'd like my opinion on. So please watch out for that. And until then, if you're comfortable, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely take a look. See you next week. Bye.